commonly called necessity, they are employed, as it says in an old book.
Bienvenue dans ce nouvel épisode de Bookalicious où nous allons continuer notre exploration de la littérature européenne contemporaine. Aujourd'hui, direction la République tchèque avec Dora Kaprálová, lauréate de l'édition 2026 de l'EUPL, le prix de littérature de l'Union européenne. Née à Brno en 1975, installée aujourd'hui à Berlin, Dora Kaprálová refuse de choisir un seul territoire d'écriture. Littérature jeunesse, documentaire radiophonique, reportage, collaboration avec des théâtres tchèques, romans et recueils de nouvelles, parmi lesquels Islands ou Suffering Another Genre. Elle navigue entre les formes avec la même exigence et la même aisance. Et c'est un autre texte qui l'amène aujourd'hui dans ce podcast, Mariborska Hypnosa, qui signifie l'hypnose de Maribor, est paru chez l'éditeur Vietrené Méliné. Un texte déjà couronné en Tchéquie par le prestigieux prix Magnesia Litera, livre de l'année et meilleure prose, avant de reporter l'édition 2026 de l'EUPL à Varsovie fin mai. Amis éditeurs et éditrices, sachez que Dora Kaprálová n'est pas encore traduite en français, mais dans plusieurs langues d'Europe centrale et en égyptien. Quelques mots tout de même sur ce roman. C'est l'histoire d'une mouche ordinaire qui arpente les rues de Maribor, en Slovénie, témoin discret de la mémoire d'une ville et de ses habitants. Autour d'elle se noue notamment l'histoire d'amour de l'hypnotiseur et illusionniste Singali et de sa compagne évaporée, Alice, le tout traversé par un certain réalisme magique. Un roman où, comme le résume sa présentation, il ne se passe apparemment rien et où, pourtant, beaucoup de choses se jouent. Comment écrit-on, depuis un point de vue aussi minuscule qu'une mouche, que change un prix comme l'EUPL dans une carrière déjà bien remplie ? Direction la résidence d'écriture de la Villa Concordia, donc pour cet échange avec Dora Kaprálová.
Hello, Dora. So, you write children's literature, radio documentaries, reportage. You write also collaboration with theaters, adult fiction. How do you find balance between all these activities?
Thank you for this question. I have to submit that I don't do those things together in the same time. And it's moving. And usually when I finish something, I don't feel anymore as somebody who did it. So it's for me very strange definition. For example, when I was writing reports, but I don't identify myself nowadays, today, as a journalist, because I don't write any reportage today. As I wrote a piece for theater, I was probably a dramatiker, but I finished it. So I'm asking if I'm still a dramatiker. The worst is this. When I was very young, I used to write literature critics, reviews, because I love to read, and it was like the school for me, or maybe irrational preparation for my own work, writing. And when somebody remind me that I'm a literature critic, I feel nervous because I feel like a big liar. So I don't know. I am basically I'm living in a present. So it's complicated for me even to answer you that I'm everything together. It sounded nice, but I'm asking if it's really me.
And at the moment, what are you now?
Now, I'm a resident of Villa Concordia for 11 months, which is beautiful for me as an opportunity to write here a novel. So I would say that I am probably a writer, but sometimes because it's so nice here, I feel like in some kind of sanatorium.
Like in the 19th century where writers could rest and write and...
Kind of, and actually I have to say that I'm thankful for this.
What are the themes that inspire you, that make you want to write something, whatever the form is? And how do you choose the form of what you are going to write, the genre? How do you choose if it's a novel or a play or children's book?
It's an interesting question. I think that I just see the composition before I start to write. And I'm a big fan of short stories because I think that it's in literature as a pearl, as a bonsai. It's very close to poesy for me. Basically, everything what I'm doing is coming from poetry because I feel that poetry can say literature even if I would be pathetic, save our life and everything, all art, when we are talking about literature, good drama, is supposed to be based on poetic language, like a still. So I think that for me, whatever I'm doing, even a reportage, it came from this first wave connected.
And do you write also short stories and poetry aside novels?
Yes, I published 2 books of short stories. And the poetry, it's complicated relationship. I would say that I'm writing poetry secretly and I don't show it to anybody, which is probably connected with the fact that my father was a poet. And I always wanted to stay with my foot in reality and don't play with this Moses like with something what is coming from the heaven. My father was excellent poet and I admire his writing, but I always wanted to be closer to reality. Just this is or the base scent of my writing. Some,
Did you start your literary career with short stories or with other text?
somehow, yes, my literature novel divided into many short vignette, literature vignette parts. And I wrote it as an answer to Peter Esterhazy, Hungarian writer, who wrote a book, One Woman. And I decided because it provoked me, it was beautiful, somehow it irritated me. So I decided to write him an answer from my own perspective and write a book about men. And the title was Winter Book of Love. And it was published in Czech in 2014. And then it was really translated into Hungarian language. And then Peter Esterhazy had even last chance to read the book, but then he unfortunately died. So my mission was complete somehow. I started to write in general because I wanted to communicate. It was like a way how to go from myself to another people. And then I wrote Sperlina Notizbook, which was like a more, let's say, essayistic. And then I wrote Islands, 21 short stories based on the main topic, what everything can be island, not in geographical, topographical sense of this meaning, but of meaning loneliness, distance, or different abstract topic, but in very concrete situations. And I finished it about a COVID time, first wave, so it was somehow also connected with that feeling.
So you have, regarding these short stories, something like, how to say, conceptual writing sometimes for some text? Or was it just for this collection?
Maybe this conceptual writing, you can describe it like this, because as I also came this field that I started as a radio teacher right out, and this was also a school of writing for me because I had to have clean composition for my documentaries for radio. And I also need some borders because I like this, I wouldn't say experimental form, but playful form. So I need some borders. But if I would play tennis, I would say that sometimes I like when the ball is coming very far away, but you always pulling the ball back.
It's a nice metaphor. And I've read about your award-winning novel on the EUPL site, where it is described as something like a strange and magical realist novel, where we see reality through the eyes of a fly. Is it right?
It's right, yes.
So how do you weave this magical realism to this sense of border and reality?
Oh, it's again the definition of magical realism, which moved you somewhere to some specific genre. What I wanted to write, actually, I will tell you the short genesis, which is also not so important for me, that I was sent by my publisher to write a literature bedecker about the Slovenians' second city. And I knew already at home that I don't have big taste to write something like journalistic. And then I saw a housefly flying around me. And I was thinking, okay, let's write rather some existentialistic novel about. And so I chose this little and point of view. And at the same time, I was thinking that we are living in a very insecure time of fake news and secure and friendships. And it would be great for me to try to know how to find hope. So I mixed this fly with reality, and I wanted to write a book about goodness and evil. So that's how I constructed, but it was a very intuitive writing. So I didn't know exactly how will I move in my book, but probably I was as a writer in hypnosis as well when I was writing it. And at the end, of course, it's also about love or about hope, which is weak, but still there is somewhere view from the window. Because without hope, I think I couldn't write this.
Hope is a kind of motivation or source of inspiration for your writing in general, or was it just for this text?
I think as more is relatively miserable sometimes, as more you should trust in light or part of the world. I would even cite now that I am not ashamed to be naive in some point of view, but this naivety should be always skeptical or somehow conducted with irony and melancholy. Probably it's my own way how to survive, and probably it's the reason why I'm writing in Chile.
And how would you define your place, your writings in the contemporary Czech literary landscape? Do you have you respond to a special current, or what is your position?
Or it's a question which I can't answer, because if you are asking how did I, because I think that, I don't know, like I'm writing what I have to write. So it's not that even, for example, this Maribor hypnosis was actually, I've got a contract, so it's supposed to be something, but it was something completely other because, so I would say lack of discipline, that I don't have a discipline. I don't have big ambitions, but through this undisciplined and null ambitions, I feel that some kind of inner freedom and necessity to do something what will help you and probably help other people, and playing with words and diving in the cold water is where you can find something. Yes, so probably this is my way. I was never kind of writer who would think, okay, this is a new trend. Let's think in some way, or let's try to write some genre as a thriller or bestseller. I think that if I would agree with some what I was like constructed, probably it's a philosophy like even philosophy of hope or this existentialism. I was quite influenced. I was influenced by many books which I was reading as if I would be in the 17th century. Of course, I would be in a fire already because I was reading too much. But I think that this is the base made my writing schedule or creations.
And you have been translated into several languages already. And how do you feel about this? What is the feeling for a writer to see their work traveling to other European countries?
It's a beautiful feeling because I feel that this magic of translation can be spreaded as houseflies who are everywhere, because one fly make 2,000 eggs in her life. So I really like this feeling. And for me, it's of course much easier to read translations or to see translations into languages which I don't understand. That's why the biggest nervosity I always feel is German language. And today I just got translation from Arabic language for my book, Suffering and Other Genre. It's in English title, but the Czech title, which was also my previous books of short stories. And of course, I'm curious, how is it? I was a little bit surprised that I didn't get any questions. And this book is so much based in Middle European irony and Europe that I am curious how will it be read in Arabic world. I'm happy. I would be so happy to have some book in French language, especially this Maribor hypnosis, because I feel that there is some connections through Bohumil Hrabal or through some, I wouldn't say surrealistic writing, but at least this absurd humor would be some, hopefully, connections between.
I know some publishers listen to this podcast, so maybe they will have ideas listening to you. And are you allowed to say a few words about the novel you are writing now?
Oh, it's complicated. It's something quite new for me. I had two great grandmothers who were writing diaries in 50s, especially. Another one in 30s, and then she committed suicide. And they were living in a shadow of their husbands, but they had a very specific kind of humor. And when I found those diaries, I realized that I should communicate now with them. So probably that's why I would like to write something about them. And also one part of it escaped to USA and traffic now to live there. But when they escaped, it was this illusion, this dream that everything is beautiful because it's in America. And actually we grew up in this population when I was a child. And then my great auntie wrote there in Arizona, bestseller, Tomorrow Will Be Better. And they were really like somehow successful in industry. And it was very kind of kitschy or romantic and beautiful, this American way of speech. And I was thinking that maybe it's time to write a pandan to this book, like Tomorrow Will Be Better or not. Something from European point of view.
Yes, I like the tomorrow will be better or not. And to finish this talk, let's talk a little bit about the EUPL. What does it bring you in terms of encounters, opportunities, and maybe further translations for the selected novel?
I didn't expect this prize. Also because 1 month before, I booked like the biggest Czech book prize, actually 2 big Czech book prize, and I was so full of prizes and satisfied that I was very relaxed, and that's why I enjoy the whole ceremony as well. And I would say that it's still too early to say this happening, but already now I know that my publisher, who is now my literature agent as well, is weekly writing me about some new offers from European languages. And if I would have some wish, then it would be to have translated books in Romanian languages, because Middle Europe is actually not so difficult to translate it in Slovenian, it's already exist, or in Croatian, it's already. But those Italian language, on French language, on Spanish or Portuguese, it would.
In the few weeks or months to pop up and to come.
Yes,
Thank you very much for this talk and for your time in your writing residency.
Thank you for invitation.